Hello everyone. So in this video, I'm going to show you guys how to make some stuff to add to your pieces. So what I have is a big chunk of clay here that I wedged up already. So make sure you keep wedging your clay. Even if I'm not showing it in the videos, it's just because it takes a while. If you're having trouble with wedging, you can Google some videos on that to help you out. I can make a video, but there's plenty of videos out there. And it's basically done to how you are comfortable. So however you feel like you can get that clay nice and wedged and all together, that's up to you on how to get to that point. All right, so I have the clay nice and wedged. I took a piece off of it. I tore it off. I could have used my wire tool or my fettling knife, but I didn't. Once again, you have your fettling knife here. You have your needle tool. You have your wire cutting tool, which looks like this. You have, what else do you have? You have your rib. This is your metal rib here, and this is your wooden rib, right? And then here I have this little piece of paper here that tells me, all right, they call it wood modeling tool. You can call this whatever you want. I call it like the tongue depressor thumb tool. This works really well. And your other loop tools, once you have two of them. So you have all these things to work with in this carving stage. You can buy some more tools. I'm gonna move this a little bit over so you can see. You can buy some more tools if you'd like, but that's completely up to you. Or you can just keep working with the tools that you have. So, let me see if I can move this over a little bit. There we go. So I'm working right here, and I'm just going to show you a couple of techniques. So the first one you all know is to make a pinch pot, right? Because I'm making a baby pinch pot, I'm going to hit it against the table instead of against my hands. I'm going to put my thumb in it, and I'm not going to have to pinch it that much because it is a very small amount of clay, and it will get to that thickness, that ½ inch thickness, which is what we're going for. We go from anywhere to ½ inch to 1/4 of an inch. So keep that in mind when you're working, and try not to get any bigger than that. We want to make sure everything is hollow that we're adding if it's thick. If it's not thick, it's okay to add, but if it's a thick area, like if I'm going to add, for some reason, a pom-pom to his nose or something, I want to make sure that that's open, but I also want to make sure that there is a hole into the body of my clay where the air can come out into this sphere that we made. If there's no hole, you're basically trapping air, and it's going to explode off of your piece, and that's a no-no. We don't want that. So make sure that you are adding those holes whenever possible. All right, so what I can do is I can make things now using this pinch pot technique. We talked about this a little bit when we did our cups, but what I can do is I can tap this on the table, right, and make some shapes. So I can make like a diamond shape just by tapping it on the table, and then make another pinch pot below it that attaches, right? Always scoring our pieces and adding clay. Scoring is when you take your needle tool and you scratch, or score is the word, your surface. And then flipping is when you add water to your surface. I don't have water. I thought I did. Okay, it's okay. Is when you add water to your surface, and then you kind of mess up your surface and make some mud. So this is a very ugly process, and we want it to be ugly because we want these things to fit. We don't want anything to be able to slip off of itself. We want to make sure that they're like interlaced, which is why we do our scoring. All right, so that's one technique to create things out of pinch pots. Another one is to create things solid. Let's say you're making, I don't know, a marshmallow. Okay, I'm gonna make a marshmallow. So I'm gonna make it solid. So this is a solid piece of clay. It will explode in the kiln, and I don't want that to happen. Well, because I know I'm gonna attach it, actually looks more like an ice cube. I know I'm gonna attach it here. What I'm going to do is use my loop tool, and I'm going to remove some of that material from inside. Now this concept works for a lot of things. If you want to attach something like a stem for a flower, or any, like we had someone attaching roots, you can do the same concept as by just taking that out of the area that's thickest will allow that piece to still be a 1/2 inch all around. So now that I've taken that out, it's now a 1/2 inch all around. Let's pretend I'm going to add this. I'm just going to show you, for example, I'm going to do some scoring on this and this, on this piece and this piece. What I like to do is to trace around the piece I'm going to attach so I know where I'm going to attach it and where to score. I can cut a large hole or I can cut a small hole, so it depends how you want to fit this piece on there. And then what I would do is I would puncture the hole with my needle tool and attach this. I like to puncture the hole after I score because what I end up doing is going over the hole every time I score the piece. So I would do your scoring, make sure it's nice and moist in those areas on both sides, and then do your hole and then attach. So that's another way. We also have the ability to make slabs. So slabs of clay are when you take your clay and you either put it through a roller, use a rolling pin, or you can also use just your hands. Like sometimes I'll just squeeze the clay down into a flat slab, a thin piece of clay that I can then work with. And that works fine. You can use all different tools, whatever you need to make it flatter. I can go on the table and just pound it down and make that flat. But now what I can do is I can use this piece and I can always make a paper pattern for myself. And I can now cut this piece out and attach it however I want. So let's say I want to attach these two pieces and make maybe a cube, but I want to make a cube out of these two slabs. All I have to do is that same concept of when you're making your donut. So I have to cut my clay. What I usually would use is this fettling knife, not that tool, because it will tear out at the end. And I want to make that angle, right, on both sides of the pieces. Let me see if I can do it quickly. All right, and I want to attach these two pieces together, making that edge, right? The same way as we made our jaw. And now I can make some cool shapes with this. Now, you can build things in a normal way, like I did with this guy, that are all the pieces are smaller than a 1/2 inch, and you don't have to do any of this to it. You can just attach it to your piece. But you know, that's completely up to your design. So another thing that we can do is we can take our coils, right? A coil is a piece of clay that we spin around, and then we've rolled into almost like a worm shape. We can take our coils and we can wrap those around and make objects or make things pop out a little more just by wrapping our coils around. I can make a cone with this by continuing with coils, slightly getting smaller as I go towards the top, and it can have a unicorn horn if I want, right? I can go as far as I want with this, and I will get really interesting effects. So you can work with your coil. You can also make a coil and then take that coil and smash it down to get a nice ribbon of a slab of clay, right? Without having to cut it out, you already have it. And now you can form it how you want and attach it to your piece if you'd like. All of this stuff that you're adding on top, I would make sure to smooth your surface first, especially if you're adding in that area. That way, anything that the object is not on top of can be like a nice surface underneath that object, because you can add things, but when it goes to trying to work underneath something without breaking it, you're gonna run into some issues. So those are the couple things that you can do with this. Another thing to know is our pieces right now are kind of like rolling bowling balls. Depending on how secure your jaw is and all of that. So what I'm going to do, so one of the things you can do is add a slab of clay underneath them by taking your clay and rolling it out with a rolling pin. remember your 1/2 inch thickness. You can cut out any shape and you can attach your skull to that so that you have a base for your skull. That's an optional thing. That's only if it's something that you want and if it's in your design. And yeah, that's about it for this video. And for these skulls, we're doing all of our wet work, getting all this done. Wet work means anything that's out of the bag and added to your piece. We're gonna try to get all of that done. I believe it's the 29th because I extended it by a week. And then we're going to fire these and then quickly glaze them and then do our, what is it called? Our review, our critique, found the word. And we're gonna then do our critique on the 18th with all the glazed pieces. We're all gonna be on Zoom and we're gonna talk about the work very quickly, briefly, and just kind of enjoy everybody's work in creating these awesome skulls. Everybody has different skill levels, everybody has different ideas, and it's gonna be really awesome to see what everybody came up with. Alrighty, see you guys in the next video.